A very, very large percentage of people with disabilities are transit dependent. So we need transit to be able to just get people with disabilities around their communities at all.
Accessibility along transit lines, I think, is important for everyone, not just people with disabilities, not just older age adults, because everyone has different circumstances. I mean, you could have a single mom, so they have a stroller. Having that accessibility feature for all types of transit is pretty crucial.
And transportation is very important to me because I can't get around without it. It is very important to reach out to the different communities, especially those with disabilities, and understand what their needs are so that people aren't limited to where they work and live just because of the transportation issue.
It's very difficult when you have people who are making policy decisions in a vacuum. They're not talking to the people who's going to be impacted by those decisions, which is why it was just such a breathtaking experience to have MTA open to that and open to really hearing what people's needs are and how we can fix them.
My job is really to make sure that the people who are closest to our service are participating in the decision making. So if our project is going to impact your life, you should be a part of the process that leads to that kind of decision. We are such an essential part of the Baltimore community. If there's a 2%, 3% improvement that we can make in transit, it makes such a huge difference for so many folks to be able to get to doctor's appointments, get to work on time, go to school.
We were looking to work with administration on improving access to transportation for people with disabilities. The MTA was fortunate enough to get some funding through TP4A. It allowed us to really get in there and invest some good time and energy into making transit more inclusive of people with disabilities.
MDOT MTA sought a partnership with 2 Maryland Centers for Independent Living that was accessible resources for independence. First, we had to do some kinds of needs assessment.
We did walking and scooting and wheelchair tours where we would go through both light rail and metro stations and take notes. We would put up temporary signage and then be able to ask people, hey, are these colors working? Does this icon make sense? From there, we developed a set of Braille flip books that we worked on with the National Federation of the Blind.
We've done an exercise at the Johns Hopkins stop where they showed us some changes they wanted to make at the subway, where they put these barriers up to keep people from falling onto the track.
We could actually bring out a prototype of what the barriers would look like and then invite our partners to check it out and to see how it works.
There were lots of great results. Most importantly, it was the ability to show other people around the country that we can work together.
They're starting to take into consideration people's actual lived experiences before it's getting written down on paper or before it's being implemented already.
It is, bottom line, worthwhile to include the input of people with disabilities. If not, in order to plan better services, period, it's worth it in terms of time and money.
The best part about this project is that it didn't end after the grant period. There's interest on both sides in continuing it. It's part of our established project development system.
My hope for the future of the transit system in Maryland is that it continues to take opportunities to engage people. We need to not just include people with disabilities at the end and say, this is the plan that we have. We need to include them from the beginning and say, what do you think about these barriers and how can we fix them?
They need to include these different groups so that they have an understanding of what these different groups need, because it's very important that people with disabilities do get out there, so that people do see that in spite of the wheelchair or in spite of whatever issues they might have, they still get themselves around.